The first thing I remember is the sound of the heart monitor, that relentless rhythmic beeping like a metronome for panic. Then the scratchy hospital gown. Then the raw ache in my throat, like I'd swallowed glass. I blinked. The ceiling was white. The lights were too bright. I was alive. Barely. Hey, Zoe. A nurse leaned over me, her voice gentle but urgent. You're okay. You're in the hospital. You had a severe allergic reaction. I couldn't speak. My tongue felt like a balloon. I nodded just slightly. You're lucky, she said, checking the IV in my arm. You stopped breathing for a minute. Someone found you just in time. Lucky? Sure, my name is Zoe, and I am the kind of person who keeps Benadryl in every purse. I read food labels like they're legal contracts. I carry an EpiPen like it's a second phone. I don't do spontaneous, I do prepared, until I didn't. Until one stupid cookie at an office party nearly killed me. I drifted in and out for a while. Nurses came and went. A doctor explained something about my vitals. I nodded, pretending to understand. I was just grateful to be breathing again. Then my phone buzzed. I reached for it with trembling fingers. One missed call. Mom! I stared at the screen. Then it rang again. Hello? My voice was a croak. Oh, thank God, my mother said, not sounding particularly thankful. You scared us. Us. Cute. I'm okay, I rasped. Well, that's what matters, she said briskly. Listen, I wanted to let you know we had to use your emergency fund, just temporarily. My brain short-circuited. What? It was just sitting there, Zoe, and Ava's honeymoon came up so fast, and she really had her heart set on Bali. The flights were outrageous, but you're fine now, right? So let's not make this a big thing. I sat up so fast the IV tugged at my arm. You used my savings. Don't be dramatic. She said it like I'd spilled a glass of milk. Not like she'd drained 5 years of careful planning and budgeting. How did you even... You gave us access years ago, remember? When the business was going through that rough patch, you said you trusted us. I did. I was 22. I thought family meant something. I almost died, but you didn't, and Ava's never been out of the country. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I hung up. I stared at the wall, heart pounding. My hands were shaking, but not from the allergic reaction anymore. I opened my banking app. Please no, please no. The screen loaded, 000. I stared at the number like it might change if I blinked hard enough. 0. I scrolled through the transactions. The withdrawals were clean, methodical, like someone had studied my habits, waited for the perfect moment, then slipped in and gutted me while I was unconscious. One transfer for $3,000, another for $2,500, a final one for $4,200, all labelled Family Business Operations. Except I knew exactly what operations meant. It meant Ava's beachfront villa, her infinity pool, her coconut drinks with the little umbrellas. I slammed the phone down on the tray table. A nurse peeked in. Everything okay? I nodded too fast. Yeah, fine, just processing. She smiled like she understood. She didn't. I lay back and stared at the ceiling. My body was still weak, but my mind was sprinting. They didn't even wait until I was out of the hospital. They didn't ask. They just took. And the worst part, I wasn't even surprised. Ava had always been the golden child, the baby, the one who cried and got what she wanted. I was the responsible one, the planner, the fixer. I was the emergency fund. The door opened again. This time it was Regina. Oh my God, she said, rushing to my side. You look like hell. Thanks. She sat down and grabbed my hand. I came as soon as I heard. You okay? No. I handed her my phone. They took everything. She read the screen, her expression hardening. They did what? For Ava's honeymoon, Regina blinked. They stole from you while you were in the hospital? Apparently I'm being dramatic. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. I'm going to kill them. That's sweet. No, seriously, this is actual theft. You could press charges. I shook my head. It's family. They'll just spin it. Say I'm selfish. Say I don't care about Ava's happiness. Regina crossed her arms. You almost died, and they rewarded you by robbing you blind. Yeah. Zoe, this isn't just toxic. It's criminal. I stared at the wall again. I know. She sat back down, quieter now. What are you going to do? I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know. Not yet. But something inside me shifted. Like a gear clicking into place. I'd spent my whole life being the good one. The reliable one. The one who picked up the pieces. But maybe it was time to stop cleaning up their messes. Maybe it was time to make one of my own. I was still sore when I stepped into my apartment, dragging my overnight bag behind me. The air smelled like dust and lavender dryer sheets. Everything was exactly how I left it, except I wasn't. Regina followed me in, carrying 2 iced coffees and a bag of takeout. She slammed both down on the kitchen counter like she was preparing for battle. All right, she said, cracking her knuckles. Let's ruin some lives. I gave her a look. She shrugged. Emotionally, legally, spiritually, whatever sticks. I dropped onto the couch. I still can't believe they did it. Believe it, she said, pulling out her laptop. Because I've been digging. You remember when you gave me access to your statements last year for that budgeting app? I nodded slowly. Well, she said, spinning the laptop around to face me, I went back 6 months. And guess what? This isn't the first time. I leaned forward. What do you mean? She pointed to a series of transfers. Look at these. Small amounts. $200 here, $500 there. Labelled as family support or business float. Always right before Ava's big events. Her engagement party, her bridal shower, the bachelorette weekend in Napa. I stared at the screen. They've been siphoning me for months. At least a year, Zoe. Maybe longer. I sat back, stunned. Why didn't I notice? Because you trust them. And you're busy. And they're sneaky as hell. I rubbed my face. They really think I'm just a bank account. You're the stable one, Regina said bitterly. So they think you'll always bounce back. I stood up and started pacing. I need to talk to them. Regina raised an eyebrow. You sure? I need to hear it from them. I need to see their faces when they say it out loud. She nodded. Fine, but I'm coming with you. No, I need to do this alone. The house looked the same. White shutters, perfect lawn, wind chimes that sounded like guilt and passive aggression. I knocked once and walked in. My mum was in the kitchen, slicing strawberries like she was auditioning for a yogurt commercial. Oh, Zoe, she said, not looking up. Feeling better? I didn't answer. My dad appeared from the living room, holding a mug of coffee like it was a shield. Hey, kiddo, you gave us a scare. I crossed my arms. We need to talk. My mum finally looked up. If this is about the money, it is. She sighed. Zoe, we didn't think you'd react like this. You're always so level-headed. You stole from me. My dad stepped in. Now, hold on. It's not stealing. We're family. You drained my emergency fund while I was in the hospital? It was for Ava, my mom said. Like that explained everything. She deserves a nice honeymoon. And I deserve to not wake up broke. You're fine, she said. You have a good job. You're not struggling. That doesn't make it okay. My dad shifted uncomfortably. You know we've always counted on you to help when things get tight. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. I noticed. My mum's tone hardened. You've always been the responsible one. Ava's different. She needs more support. She needs a reality check. Don't be jealous, I laughed. Jealous? Of what? Being babied into adulthood? My dad tried to play peacemaker. Look, let's not fight. We're all under stress. The business is in a tough spot. I turned to him. So that's what this is really about? You used me to float the business again? He hesitated. My mum jumped in. It's all family money, Zoe. We're in this together. No, I said. You're in this. I was just your backup plan. My mum's eyes narrowed. You're being ungrateful. I stared at her. Ungrateful. You've had everything handed to you. A good education. A stable job. We sacrificed for you. You used me. My dad stepped forward. Maybe we made a mistake, but we're family. We'll fix this. No, I said, backing toward the door. You won't. My mum's voice followed me. Don't turn this into some drama. You're not a victim. I didn't answer. I just walked out. Back at my apartment, Regina was waiting. Well, she asked. They don't think they did anything wrong. Of course not. They said it's all family money. Regina rolled her eyes. Classic. And Ava needed it. She needs a job. I sat down next to her. They've been using me for years. Regina nodded. So what now? I looked at her. Now we make a plan, she grinned. That's what I like to hear. I pulled out my laptop. Start with the business records. I want to know exactly how deep this goes. Regina opened her phone. You still have that folder I helped you organise last tax season? Yeah, good. Because if they've been using your name for anything shady, we're going to find it. I felt something settle in my chest. Cold, steady. No more begging. No more hoping they'd change. It wasn't about fairness anymore. It was about consequences. Regina sat cross-legged on my living room floor, surrounded by a fortress of manila folders, receipts, and printed bank statements. Her laptop was open, highlighter clenched between her teeth. Okay, she said, pulling it out. I've got 6 transfers from your personal account to the business account over the last 18 months, all labelled as temporary support. How much total? She tapped the calculator. Just under 28 grand. I blinked. Jesus. And that's not including the 9,000 they took for Ava's honeymoon. I paced back and forth, phone in hand. They said it was just a one-time thing, that they needed help. Regina snorted. They've been bleeding you dry, Zoe. Quietly, strategically, like financial vampires. I stopped pacing. I need someone who can verify all this, someone with authority. She looked up. You still talk to Edison. He works at First National, right? Yeah, he's a branch manager now. Regina raised an eyebrow. Perfect. I hesitated. We weren't exactly close. Doesn't matter. He's smart. He knows the system. And he always had a thing for you. I rolled my eyes. He did not. She grinned. He sat behind you in AP Econ and stared at your ponytail like it was the Mona Lisa. I laughed in spite of myself. Fine, I'll reach out. I texted him that night. Hey, Edison, long time. I've got a weird financial situation involving my family and I could use some advice. You free to talk? He replied 10 minutes later. Hey, Zoe, yeah, I'm around. Want to swing by the branch tomorrow? I exhaled. I hadn't realised I'd been holding my breath. The next morning I walked into the bank wearing a blazer and my best I'm totally fine face. Edison stood near the teller line, tall and clean-cut, still with that same calm energy he had in high school. Zoe, he said, smiling. Wow, you look, good. Alive, I said, which is more than I can say for my savings. He laughed, then gestured to his office. Come on back. Once the door closed, I handed him a flash drive. This has everything. Transfers, account statements, emails. I think my parents have been using my name for things I didn't authorize. He slid the drive into his laptop. Okay, let's take a look. I watched him scroll. His expression changed slowly, from neutral to confused to deeply concerned. Do you recognize these business filings? He asked. I leaned over. No, that's not my signature. He pointed to a PDF. They listed you as a silent partner for tax purposes. I went cold. That's fraud, he nodded. If you didn't consent, absolutely. My phone buzzed. Ava. I ignored it. Edison looked up. "Do you want to escalate this?" "Not yet," I said. I need to be smart about this." He nodded. "I'll keep this confidential, but Zoe, this is serious." "I know." He leaned back. "You want to schedule a meeting with them at the bank?" I met his eyes. "Yes, I want them to think I'm considering helping. I need them comfortable." He nodded slowly. "All right, I'll set it up." That night I opened Instagram. Ava had posted a new photo, her in a white bikini, holding a coconut drink, smiling like she'd cured cancer. Caption, "Manifested this, ja blessed ha honeymoon vibes, ja Bali." I stared at it for a long time. Then I sent her a message. "Hope you're enjoying the honeymoon. I'll be seeing you soon." The next day my parents called. "Zoe," my mum said, her tone sugary, "we're so glad you're feeling better." Cut to the chase. My dad cleared his throat. "The business is struggling. We're behind on a few payments. The bank won't extend our line of credit." "We were hoping," my mum said, "you'd consider co-signing a loan just to get us through the next quarter." I let the silence stretch. "We know it's a big ask," she added quickly, "but you've always been so level-headed, so generous. I'll meet you. We can talk through options." My dad sounded relieved. "Thank you, Zoe. Really." I hung up and immediately texted Edison. "Meeting's on. I'll bring the folder," he replied. "Got it. I'll prep the room." Then another text followed. "Also," I reviewed the files. "We have a problem. They committed bank-level fraud using your name." I stared at the screen. Then I set my phone down and opened my laptop. This wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about leverage. The restaurant they picked was one of those places with white tablecloths and overpriced salads. My mum always liked the illusion of class. I showed up 5 minutes early and spotted them at a booth near the window. My dad stood when he saw me, awkward and eager, like a golden retriever who knew he'd chewed up the couch. "Zoe," he said, reaching for a hug. I dodged it and slid into the booth. My mum didn't bother with the performance. She just sipped her water and gave me a tight smile. "You look well." "Thanks," I said. "Almost dying really brings out the glow." She didn't laugh. A waiter came by. I ordered a coffee. They both got wine. At noon. "So," I said, leaning back, "you wanted to talk business." My dad cleared his throat. "Yes, we've hit a rough patch. The market's been unpredictable and we made some investments that haven't paid off yet." My mum jumped in. "We're restructuring. It's temporary. But the bank needs a co-signer for the next loan, and your credit is, well, excellent." I stirred my coffee slowly. "What happened to the last loan?" They exchanged a look. "It was used for operational costs," my dad said. "Like what?" "Payroll, inventory, taxes." I raised an eyebrow. "Because according to the bank records, a lot of it went to Ava's wedding planner." My mum's jaw tightened. "That was a personal loan, separate. You used the business account," she waved a hand. "It's all the same. It's family." I leaned in. "You used my name to file tax documents. You listed me as a silent partner without consent." My dad looked genuinely confused. "We thought you knew. You've always supported us." "I never signed anything." My mom's voice sharpened. "You're being dramatic again. We didn't do anything illegal." I pulled out a folder from my bag and set it on the table. "You sure about that?" They stared at it like it might explode. "I've been working with Edison," I said. "He's reviewed everything. He's not amused." My dad looked pale. "Zoe, we didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," I said, repeatedly. My mom scoffed. "You're acting like a victim. You've always had more than Ava. You never needed as much." I blinked. "What?" "She's sensitive," she said. "She needs support. You're strong. You always have been." I laughed. "So, because I didn't fall apart, you decided I could handle being robbed?" My dad looked down at his wine glass. "We didn't think it would come to this." I stood up. "You want my help? Fine. There's a formal meeting at the bank next week. Edison will be there. You'll present your case. I'll consider it. My mom narrowed her eyes. You're setting us up. No, I said. I'm giving you a chance. I walked out before they could say anything else. That night I sat on the couch with Regina, flipping through the folder. They're scared, I said. Good. They think I'll cave. Will you? I didn't answer. She took a sip of wine. You know, I used to envy your family, the matching Christmas pajamas, the fake smiles, the group photos. I looked at her. It was all curated, for show. Yeah, she said. I see that now. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from my dad. I hit play. Zoe, it's me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We messed up. I know that. But I need you to understand, we didn't mean to hurt you. We're desperate. Please, just call me back. His voice cracked at the end. For a second, just a second, I felt it. That old urge to fix things, to make it okay, to be the good daughter. But then I remembered the zero in my bank account, the hospital bed, the coconut drink in Ava's hand. I closed the voicemail and turned to Regina. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said. I'm doing it because they need to learn what consequences feel like. She raised her glass. 2 consequences. I clinked mine against hers. The meeting was set. The folder was ready. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of being the villain in their story. I laid everything out on my kitchen table like I was prepping for a courtroom drama. Folders, spreadsheets, printed emails, highlighted bank statements. Regina stood over it all with a look of grim satisfaction. You're ready, she said, nodding. This is airtight. I'm not just walking in there to embarrass them, I said. This is about truth, about making them look in the mirror. She raised an eyebrow. You sure it's not a little about embarrassing them? I smirked. Okay, maybe a little. She picked up a sheet. You even printed the email where your mum said you were overreacting about the money. Page 2, I said, right after the screenshot of Ava's honeymoon invoice. Regina whistled. They're going to melt. I sat down and rubbed my temples. They've spent their entire lives pretending they're the perfect family. This is going to destroy that image. Good, she said. They built that image on your back. I didn't say anything. She leaned forward. You okay? I'm fine. You're lying. I looked at her. This isn't just about the money, Reg. It's about all the years I let it slide, all the times I swallowed it and smiled. She nodded slowly. Then make them choke on it. The night before the meeting, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed scrolling through Ava's Instagram. She'd unfollowed me. Cute. Her latest story was a quote on a pink background. Some people just can't be happy for others. Protect your peace. I stared at it, then laughed. Out loud. Alone in the dark. Protect your peace? I clicked through. More pictures of her in Bali. Her and her husband on a swing over a rice field. Her in a white dress, barefoot on the beach. I closed the app and rolled over. Let her post her pastel quotes. Tomorrow, I'd be the one flipping the script. At 9 a.m. sharp, I walked into the bank. I wore a navy suit and heels that made a satisfying click with every step. My hair was sleek, my makeup sharp. I looked like every woman they'd ever underestimated. Edison met me in the lobby. You look intense. Good, I said. Let's do this. He led me to the conference room. My parents were already inside. My mum stood when she saw me. Zoe, thank you for coming. I nodded. Let's get started. My dad gave me a hopeful smile. We're really glad you're open to this. Edison sat at the head of the table. All right, let's review your loan request. My parents launched into their pitch like they were on Shark Tank. My mom handled the numbers. My dad added emotional colour, talked about legacy, family values, the dream they built together. I listened silently. When they finished, Edison looked at me. Zoe, I opened my folder. Actually, I said, I've prepared a few materials of my own. My mum's smile faltered. I slid copies across the table. This is a summary of unauthorized withdrawals from my personal accounts, misuse of my name in business filings, and evidence of tax fraud. My dad blinked. What? Edison flipped through the papers. These are serious allegations. My mum's voice sharpened. You brought this to a bank meeting. You brought me here to co-sign a lie, I said. This is me telling the truth. The door burst open. Ava walked in, sunglasses on her head, phone in hand. What the hell is going on? My mom stood. Ava, stay out of this. No, Ava snapped. I just got back and everyone's blowing up my phone. What is this? I looked at her. This is where the free ride ends, she scoffed. You're doing this now. To us. You drained my account while I was unconscious in a hospital. It was a honeymoon, she shouted. You're seriously this bitter? Edison stood. I'm going to ask you to lower your voice. Ava turned to him. You're just letting her ambush us? My mom grabbed her arm. Sit down. No, Ava said. I'm not going to sit here while she plays victim. I stood. You think I wanted this? You think I enjoy blowing up my own family? You're jealous, Ava hissed. You always have been. I laughed. Of what? Being the favourite, getting babied into adulthood. Must be exhausting pretending your life is perfect. Edison cleared his throat. We're done here. My dad looked at me, voice trembling. Zoe, please. I closed my folder. This is me choosing myself. Finally. Edison opened the door. Security waited outside. My mom's face was stone. Ava was still ranting. My dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. I walked out without looking back. The fallout started before I even got home. Regina was already waiting on my couch, phone in hand, eyes wide. Your mum just posted a Facebook status, she said. It's a full-blown martyr monologue. I kicked off my heels. Let me guess, betrayed by those closest to us? Close. She called you ungrateful and said you've turned your back on your blood. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. She left out the part where they committed fraud. Regina scrolled. Oh, and your aunt commented something about how Zoe was always too cold, too ambitious. I laughed. They're circling the wagons. Meanwhile, Ava posted a story of her crying in her car, captioned, Some people will destroy a family just to feel powerful. Did she use the crying filter? No, real tears. Waterproof mascara, though. I sat down next to her. I didn't expect them to thank me, but I didn't think they'd go full soap opera either. Regina handed me her phone. You need to see this. It was a screenshot of a community Facebook group. Someone had posted a question. Anyone know what's going on with the Hart family business? Heard the bank's involved. Comments were rolling in. Always knew something shady was going on. I worked there once. They were behind on payroll for months. Explains why Ava was begging for sponsorships for her honeymoon last minute. I handed the phone back. Wow, that was fast. Small town, she said. Big mouths. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Another buzz. This time a text from Edison. They're being investigated. Accounts frozen. You're in the clear. Want to press charges? I stared at the screen. Regina leaned over. Well, I don't know. She waited. I got what I wanted, I said. They're exposed. The mask is off. But it still sucks, she nodded. Yeah, it does. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. I didn't hear from my parents. Not directly, anyway. But the messages came in sideways, emails from extended family, vague texts from cousins, even a voicemail from my childhood piano teacher. All of them asking some version of, is it true? I didn't respond. I went to work. I cooked. I reorganized my closet. Regina made me go to a yoga class, where I spent the entire time lying on the mat, staring at the ceiling. One night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights blink like Morse code. Regina joined me with a bag of chips. "You did it," she said, crunching loudly. "You actually did it." "Yeah, you burned the whole thing down." "Feels weird." She looked at me. "You grieving?" I didn't answer. She passed me the bag. "It's okay if you are." I took a chip. "I think I'm grieving the version of them I wanted to believe in." She nodded. "That version never existed." I looked out at the skyline. They built Ava's dream on my silence. Not anymore. We clinked chip bags instead of glasses. Later that night, I opened my laptop and played the voicemail from my dad again. His voice was raw, desperate. He sounded like a man who'd finally realised the cost of his choices. I listened to it twice. Then I deleted it. I wasn't going back. The next morning, Edison texted again. "Last chance. If you want to press charges, I need to know by today." I stared at the message. Then I typed back, "No, they're already living the consequences." He replied with a thumbs up. I closed the chat and opened a new tab. I clicked through to my bank, opened a new savings account, this one under my LLC. No shared access, no family ties, just mine. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer. We sat across from each other in a glass-walled office while she flipped through my documents. "I want to legally separate myself from the business," I said. "No tax liability, no ownership, no ties." She looked up. "You're sure?" "Dead sure." She nodded. "We can file the paperwork today." I signed the forms. With each stroke of the pen, I felt something loosen in my chest. Not joy, not relief, but space. That night, I booked a solo retreat to Bali. 2 weeks, no Wi-Fi, no drama, just me. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. Some endings don't need announcements, they just need distance. The first headline hit on a Thursday morning. Local family business under investigation for financial misconduct. Regina read it out loud while we sat at our usual coffee shop, her voice low but triumphant. "Wow," she said, holding up her phone. "They even used a picture of your dad looking like he just got hit by a bus." I sipped my latte. "That's probably how he feels." She scrolled. "Mentions misuse of funds, false filings, and unauthorized financial activity involving a family member. That's you." "Yep." "Want me to frame it?" I smirked. "Maybe later." My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I didn't answer. Regina glanced at me. "You've been getting those all week." Non-stop. Mostly relatives I haven't heard from in years. "Let me guess. They want to know your side of the story. Or they're trying to guilt me into fixing it." She rolled her eyes. "You didn't break it." I looked out the window. "Doesn't stop them from acting like I did." That evening, I got a DM from a cousin I hadn't seen since high school. "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but your mum is saying you're trying to ruin them. Is that true?" I stared at the message, deleted it. A second DM came in. "Ava. You're disgusting. You're sick. You need help." Then another. "You couldn't stand me being happy, could you?" And another. "You'll die alone, and you'll deserve it." I blocked her. Regina called 5 minutes later. "I just saw Ava's meltdown on her story," she said. "She's sobbing into a smoothie." I let out a tired laugh. "What's she saying now?" "That you're a toxic presence and she's cutting ties for her mental health." "She's 3 weeks late." "I already cut them." Regina paused. "You okay?" I sat on my couch, surrounded by silence. "Yeah, just quiet." The next day, I went into work and found a bouquet of flowers on my desk. No note, just white lilies and a small card that said, "Thinking of you." I stared at them for a long time before throwing them in the trash. Saturday night, Regina came over with takeout and a bottle of wine. "You need to celebrate," she said, handing me a glass. "You won!" I raised an eyebrow. "Did I?" "You exposed them. You protected yourself. You got out." I clinked my glass against hers, and now I'm alone. "You're not alone," she said. "You're just unburdened. I laughed. That's one way to put it. We sat in silence, eating noodles and watching some terrible reality show. Halfway through, I felt it, this pressure in my chest, like something wanted to break loose. I stood up, walked into the bathroom and closed the door. Then I let it out. Not a scream, not a sob, just a quiet, shaking cry. I didn't cry for them. I cried for the version of me that kept hoping they'd change. When I came back out, Regina didn't say anything. She just handed me a tissue and switched the TV to something funny. Sunday morning, I woke up to a final message from Edison. Just got confirmation. You're officially removed from all filings. You're free. I stared at the text. Then I opened my laptop and checked my new account. Balance $2,500. Not much, but it was mine. I started a new budget, a new plan, a new chapter. I didn't post about it, didn't make a speech, didn't tell anyone I was leaving. I just packed a bag, turned off my phone, and boarded a plane. Destination, Bali. Alone, not to escape, but to begin again. The sun beat down on my shoulders as I stepped barefoot onto the warm wooden deck of the villa. The air smelled like salt and citrus, and the only sound was the slow crash of waves against the shore. I took a sip of my iced tea and stared out at the ocean. No screaming, no guilt, no passive-aggressive texts, just water, wind, and peace. A Balinese woman named Ketut brought me a plate of sliced mango and smiled. "You look lighter today," I smiled back. "I feel it." I hadn't touched my phone since I landed. I turned off notifications, deleted Instagram, and left the drama on the tarmac with the rest of my baggage. This trip wasn't about escape. It wasn't about revenge. It was about remembering who I was before I became a walking emergency fund. I took my mango and wandered down to the edge of the water. My feet sank into wet sand. The tide rolled in and kissed my toes. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just breathed. Back home, I met with the lawyer again. We sat in the same glass office, same tidy desk. She slid a final document across to me. "You're now fully separated from the business," she said. "No tax obligations, no ownership, no ties." I signed my name in black ink. "This also protects you from any future claims," she added. "They can't touch you." I nodded. "Perfect." She looked at me. "You're one of the calmest clients I've had." "I've had time to practice." She smiled politely. "Anything else I can help with?" "Yeah," I said, standing. "How do I start a new LLC?" Regina met me for lunch at a little cafe near the park. She was already 2 mimosas in and waving at me with a grin. "You look like someone who just deleted a family tree," she said, raising her glass. "I signed the final paperwork this morning." "Damn, you're officially free." I sat down. "Feels weird," she leaned in. "Weird good?" "Weird like I don't owe anyone anything anymore, not even an explanation." Regina nodded slowly. "You know what that is?" "What?" "Power." We clinked glasses. Later that week, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope one day you'll understand why we did what we did. We thought we were doing what was best for the family. I'm sorry it hurt you." No signature. I folded the letter and dropped it in the trash. I walked into the bank one afternoon and spotted Edison behind the counter. He looked up, surprised. "Hey," he said, coming around to meet me. "Back from paradise." "Back and ready to start over," he smiled. "You look different." "Lighter," I said. He nodded. "You did the hard thing." "I did the necessary thing." He hesitated. "You sure you don't want to press charges? There's still time." I shook my head. "They're already living the consequences. I don't need to be the executioner." He leaned against the counter. "So, what's next?" I pulled a folder from my bag. I'm opening a new account. Business, under my name only. He took it, eyebrows raised. Name of the business? New Future Financial. He grinned. I like it. So do I. The last time I saw Ava, she was sitting outside a cafe, sunglasses on, scrolling through her phone with a look of pure boredom. Her husband wasn't with her. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, and her designer purse sat on the table like a prop. She didn't see me. I didn't stop. I just kept walking. I moved into a new apartment, smaller, quieter, with big windows and no ghosts. I filled it with plants, books, and silence. Regina helped me hang art on the walls. No family photos, she teased. Just me, I said, pointing to a framed picture of myself in Bali, standing on a cliff, arms wide open. She looked at it, then at me. You look happy. I am. And that's it. No dramatic reunion, no tearful apologies, no fairy tale ending. Just me, standing on my own 2 feet, finally choosing myself. Not because I want to hurt anyone, not because I need revenge, but because I finally understand that sometimes you don't get a new family. You give yourself a new future.